In this WrestleTalk news, an update on WWE plans for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, John Cena's next WWE appearance confirmed, and Tempest reviews Smackdown. Subscribe and enable notification to always on for daily wrestling news.
Support WrestleTalk!
With 2022 finally coming to a close, and what a ride it's been. It's time to get pumped for everyone's favorite time of the year, the road to WrestleMania, baby! Now, we've all thought that it's safe to assume that Roman Reigns will meet his big Uzi cousin Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the main event in Hollywood. And while that is still likely to be the case depending on Dwayne's schedule, what if I told you that there could be more plans in store for Reigns at the show of shows? Well, according to Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, there have in fact been discussions regarding Reigns pulling double duty at both nights of Mania. But along with The Rock, who could be Reigns' second opponent? As much as many would love it to be Sami Zayn, it looks like the likely choice will be in fact a returning Cody Rhodes, or as his friends call him, the American roller coaster. A new report from Fightful stated that WWE fully expects Rhodes to return in time for Mania 39, with his recovery reportedly going very well. And Rhodes even recently filming a WWE commercial with The Miz, Triple H and Bad Bunny in LA recently. Okay, so knowing that, let's go back to Meltzer's report and see what he has to say regarding WWE's internal discussions for Mania. One of the things talked about internally in WWE is for Reigns to wrestle both nights at Mania, with the working ideas being Cody Rhodes and Dwayne Johnson. Nothing is definite, and actually today the best bet is that it won't take place like that. There's also talk of splitting up the titles, so Raw has a world champion after Mania. So, as Meltzer notes, it may be unlikely that WWE takes this route, but it's hard to argue that it's not logical, as it allows WWE to finally split up the titles while also keeping Reigns' historical Universal title reign intact going forward. Now, let us know what your fantasy plans for World Title at Mania is in the comment below. Sticking with WWE's Mania's hopefuls, John Cena is another major name that WWE will hope plays a role at either night of April's event. Similarly to Dwayne though, Cena is a busy man and it will very much depend on his schedule. Dave Meltzer's latest Wrestling Observer newsletter has reported that Cena will be in Australia filming his upcoming comedy, get ready for this, Ricky Stanicki! Ricky Stanicki! That's Dan laughing in the background. Dan, you're laughing. Ricky Stanicki! Between February and March, theoretically meaning that he would be free to appear at Mania. However, if Cena's Mania plans involve in-ring competition, given the strict timing, Cena would likely have to train while in Australia. While Cena's Mania status is unclear, what we do know is when we can expect to see Cena next on WWE TV. According to Variety, the 16-time champion is set to appear on the final Smackdown of the year on December 30th in Tampa, Florida. The appearance might not involve any in-ring competition. Nevertheless, 2022 is the first year in 2 decades that Cena is yet to wrestle. So perhaps John is aiming to beat the deadline just before New Year's. Now, off to Tempest with a Smackdown review.
Shout out to our Patreons, the Roller Costa Robert Acosta, and Chris, the Cypriot sensation Petru. So we opened SmackDown with a match, and probably the most important match on the show, as the Usos defended the tag titles against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Wait. No, those are my notes from last week. Drew McIntyre was not medically cleared for this match, so instead, Sheamus teamed up with Butch. This was, no surprise, a very good match. These last couple of Smackdowns have been really good to show that Sami and the Bloodline are now completely on the same page, as after a back and forth match with some good near falls, Sami prevented Sheamus from breaking up the pin on Butch. Again, simple storytelling told through the matches. 2 thumbs up from me, 4 out of 5. Braun Strowman says hi to Kurt Angle and Gable Steveson and reminds everyone that he doesn't watch the show, asking Steveson if he was at the Performance Center before telling him that he can get these hands in the most polite manner possible. LA Knight does a promo where he shows the footage of Bray Wyatt's spooky masks haunting him as he was getting attacked over the last few weeks. Then Uncle Howdy cuts in and says some spooky shit and tells LA Knight that the door is closing. Knight then went backstage to confront Bray. Knight is a good talker and this moved the story along a bit, but I just don't really care about the Uncle Howdy spookiness at this point. 3 out of 5. We then go to the most dangerous place in all of Triple H's WWE, the parking lot. Legado del Fantasma was doing a nothing interview when Shotzi screamed while Ronda and Shayna walked away. Backstage, Ronda and Shayna are being mean girls, and Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox walk in, and Liv says Shayna and Ronda have beaten everyone except them. I seem to recall Ronda Rousey indeed beating Liv a few times this year, but hey-ho. The Viking Raiders wrestled Legado del Fantasma for all of about 1 minute before Hit Row's music kicked in, and B-Fab distracted the Vikings while Ashante and Top Dollar beat up both teams. It's nice to see a bit of shine put back on Hit Row, but this was a nothing segment and I didn't feel like the crowd cared much. Maybe we'll get some sort of three-way faction warfare with the women involved. I don't know, 2 out of 5. LA Knight is looking for Bray backstage and finds a Bray Wyatt t-shirt. The lights go out, Knight takes out his phone flashlight and sees Bray, in the mask, and they cut to commercial! Why would you cut to a commercial there? Ugh. Don't expect any follow-up on that, by the way. Kurt Angle shakes hands with old rival Shinsuke Nakamura and then gets a #1 dad card from Jason Jordan, which was actually both very funny and very sweet. We had the contract signing between Ricochet and Walter where the New Day came out to back up Ricochet before the contract signing segment could inevitably break down. They said they would be there for the impromptu trios match, and Adam Pearce said that wasn't going to happen, to which Woods asked if he'd ever watched wrestling before. That's all it took to get Pearce to buckle and make the match. Really had to twist your arm there, didn't they, Adam? But then Walter cut a fantastic promo about how they were not performers, they were wrestlers. And unfortunately, this SmackDown crowd was a big pile of ass because they would not allow Walter to speak without hitting him with the "what" chant. If they were actually listening to what the people were saying on this show they had paid to attend, maybe they would have gotten to hear a great promo. The good guys turned this segment into a dick joke, and then Ricochet fired up about taking the title from Walter, and then we got our trios match. The trios match, however, was one of the highlights of the show. Imperium got some really good heat on Kofi Kingston before he eventually made the hot tag, and we got our Ricochet versus Walter square off. Walter did his good Walter things, and eventually both New Day and Imperium tried to hit their tag finishers, only to both be countered. Ricochet cleared the ring, and Kofi hit Trouble in Paradise to set up Ricochet's shooting star press for the win. This is probably the best sustained push Ricochet has had on the main roster, and while he isn't going to beat Walter next week, I would love if this is a great underdog star solidifying performance for him. This was a very fun match, 4 out of 5. The Bloodline are backstage and they're about to leave, but Jay holds Sami back and tells him it might be a good idea to trim up the hair and beard for him when Roman shows up next week because that could be a big night for Sami. Sami looks excited and oh god, they're gonna kill him, aren't they? I can't take this. I just want my scraggly Sami to be okay. My god, I love this storyline. Karrion Kross pays Rey Mysterio a visit in the trainer's room and tells him a story, very calmly, about how Scarlett's family had a thoroughbred horse that got old and broken down, and by the end it had a sad look in its eyes and needed to be put down. He says Rey needs to look at the time, tick-tock. Big on social media, that Karrion Kross. I actually like this quieter, reserved display from Kross. I don't know how this match will be, but I thought this was a solid little promo. Lacey Evans is in boot camp and just we get the full recap video of Tegan Nox's career, which was both nice and heartbreaking to see because my god, that poor woman's knees. And this led into Liv and Tegan versus Ronda and Shayna, and this wasn't very long, with Tegan getting the shine on Shayna, Ronda getting the heat on Tegan, Liv getting the hot tag, and then Raquel coming out for the distraction as Tegan hit the shiniest wizard on Shayna for the pin. This match was, in a word, fine. I'm slowly giving up hope for Shayna Baszler's rehabilitation with her inconsistent booking, but you probably don't want Tegan losing her first match back, so that's cool, I guess. If she and Liv are gonna wrestle Damage Control at some point in the near future, I suppose this was the right way to go. 2 out of 5. Kurt Angle then comes out for his birthday celebration, and before he can get into anything, Alpha Academy comes out to protest not being invited to Kurt's birthday party. Gable cuts a pretty good promo saying Kurt has no integrity, he's lost his intensity, and if he had any intelligence left, he'll get out of their ring so Otis can eat his birthday cake, playing off the 3 eyes from back in 2000. Kurt leaves, but before he can reach the top of the stage, he says if they're gonna eat that cake, they're gonna need a lot of milk. Gable Steveson drives out a milk truck, and they hose down Alpha Academy with milk, while Michael Cole threw out as many milk-related puns as he possibly could in the time they had left, while I tried to rip my ears off. The Kurt Angle stuff was very cute on this show, and this is a far cry from what they used to do to the legends they would bring in just a few years ago, where everyone would just be humiliated at every turn. This was just a bit of fun. 3 out of 5. Overall, SmackDown was fine. It had a pair of very good tag team matches, and Kurt's birthday was a nice, inconsequential bit running throughout the show, but besides that, this wasn't much of anything. We never did find out what happened to LA Knight. How's that for a cliffhanger? This show gets a 3 out of 5. That just about wraps things up for me, but make sure to check out the latest edition of Cineworld What's On over on Cineworld, and I will see you next week. Jam that jam.